This morning's class, all I need is a block, and I won't be needing that for very much. Standing start today. Stand at the front of the mat. Just take a couple of minutes to kind of find a happy place. Shake out the legs and the arms a little bit. We'll be coming back into shot, don't worry. And strangely enough, trying to work on our breath, where we should be slowing the breath down, breathing through the nostrils, which when you have hay fever is not easy. But we'll take that time to still our body, stretch the toes a little bit, find a nice standing posture, and really just allow ourselves a bit of time to connect with the ground. Feel that sort of safety and structure and welcoming that the ground can give us, that little bit of feedback that tells us precisely where we are in the world. We could take this into some neck stretches. So just going to drop the chin in towards the chest. Roll the chin out towards that left shoulder, looking along the ground, and then up the wall towards the ceiling, across the ceiling. Just try not to drop the head back too far. All the way across the ceiling to the opposite wall, down that wall, with your eyes letting your head follow to the chin. And then back into the center of the chest. We'll take it the opposite way around. If you're able to, slowing the breath down for one breath all the way to the top. And the exhale all the way over to the opposite side. Lift the head. Take the right arm up, just place that to the left side. So drop the head down over towards that right shoulder. And at the same time as you're letting the weight of your right arm being taken by the neck, allow the left shoulder to relax down. Release. They come back to the center. We'll just take it over to the second side. Ease the head in. Allow the weight of the arm to be taken. And then really focus on relaxing the right side of the neck and the right shoulder down and away. We'll release there as well. Head come back. Come back into the front of the mat. So as to take the hands out wide. Inhale to the sky. Hands through the heart as we exhale. Take that 3 more times. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Final time, just drawing the arms up slowly. And towards the heart. We'll take the next 3, just bringing the hands forwards and up towards the sky, about shoulder distance apart. At the same time, trying to draw the ribs down. Pressing shoulder blades back a little bit, exhaling down. And just noticing how the weight feels like it shifts through the feet. So we stay connected to the ground and let the arms kind of find their own place. Take another lift. And we'll take 3 of those where we're going to try to lift up onto the tippy toes. Rather than forwards, we concentrate on going up. And use the exhale to see if we can bring the heels to the floor as the hands come in line with the hips. So slow movement, inhaling up. That's it, hands out wide again, breathing in. We'll take the hands up towards the sky. We'll interlace the fingers, index finger pointing. We'll take a side bend on the exhale to the left, pushing down through the right leg. Come back to the center as we breathe in. Use the exhale to go to the right. Into the center. Take it into a little back bend. Lifting the head a little, pull it towards the hands. Guide them towards the back of the mat. Come back to the center. Take it over to the left on that side bend. To the center. To the right. Centering up. Little back bend again. Try and lift your body up out of the pelvis as you take that side bend into back bends. Come back to the center. We go over to the left side bend for the last time. Lift. Go to the right. Press down with the opposite leg. Stretch out through the fingertips. Into the center. Down into the floor and the hips back a little bit as we deepen into those back bends. Hands in towards your heart. Soften the knees, hinge down to the floor. Hands onto the shin. Now lift up halfway. Exhale down to the floor. Hands to the shins to lift up. Exhale down. Lifting up again. And exhaling down. We're stepping back into down dog. Let ourselves walk the feet out whilst lifting the hips as high as we can. Forwards into a plank. Bring the knees down to the floor underneath. Foot laces down, we'll move into cat-cow. So just rolling the shoulders back, tailbone to the sky. Exhaling, pressing into the shins and the hands, letting the spine stretch to the sky. Coming forwards again. Exhaling out. We'll come back into neutral. The knees as wide apart as comfortable together, toes together. Sitting on the heels, ease down into child's pose. So just stretch the fingers out towards the front of the mat. Get a little bit of a deeper stretch today down the armpits and the sides of the body. You can try and press the tailbone at the same time towards the back of the mat as you walk the fingers forwards. There is always a little bit more to stretch into, a little bit more space to find. Lift the head, look towards the hands as we take them into a side bend over towards the right this time, leaning the body into the thigh. Try and keep the hands shoulder distance apart. If you're possible, walk that left hand an inch further forwards. Use your breath to really feel the stretch down the side of your body and into your ribs. Lift and look towards the hands and come across to the opposite side. Come back into the center. You're going to lift up about halfway. So think of your body coming into a 45-degree-ish angle to the floor. And we'll take the left hand out towards the right side as we drop the shoulder and ear down to the floor. And walk the right hand out. And take it up onto the fingertips. Try and turn the body underneath, on the top shoulder back. So you're using your body rather than your limbs to rotate yourself around that spinal column. And let's come back up. Take yourself to that 45 degrees again. Allow yourself to take the right arm out, shoulder down to the floor and the ear, and then walk the hand out up onto the fingertips. And start to roll your body again. You still want to be able to breathe comfortably, but rather than just sort of slumping into the pose, you are trying to rotate your body around. Always think about drawing, in this case, your right rib over towards the left side of the mat. So it really comes from the center rather than from the limbs or the shoulders. We'll come back, hands to the floor. Allow ourselves to lift up into all fours again. Now I'm going to take the left hand in line with the left knee and pivot the left foot out to the side as I draw the right foot back and drop the heel in. So we're going to come into a baby side plank. Once you've arrived, I'm going to take a breath and then lift up onto the fingertips. And press down into the back foot, lift up with the top hand. Take as much weight as you can out of the fingers. So if you can, maybe just on 2 fingers or 1 finger. There's barely any weight. So you're holding your body up in the pose. We're trying to hit this part, the obliques. Lifting up versus 1,000 sit-ups. Okay, maybe not 1,000, but 20 at least. We'll bring ourselves down to the floor. Ease ourselves back onto all fours. Move the right hand in as we spin the right foot out. Left leg back, heel drops in. We lift. Try and have the hand underneath your shoulder to start with. Take a little breath, and on the exhale, onto the fingertips. Bring the hands down and feet back down onto the floor, onto all fours. Take a breath in, tap the toes underneath, move slowly into our down dog number 2. We'll bring the hands in towards the feet, so coming in towards the back of the mat. I'm going to sit down into a chair pose. You want to have your feet a good hip distance apart and keep the knees more or less the same position apart as your feet in terms of distance. With the ribs actually sitting on the thighs, you take the hands out in front. On the exhale, draw through the legs and allow ourselves to lift. We'll take it into a little bit of a back bend with the arms wide. Bring the hands back in towards the heart. Hinge at the hips this time. Allow ourselves to fold down to the floor. Bring the hands onto the shins to lift up halfway. Fold back down to the ground. Sink into that squat again. Ribs and thighs touch, hands come out. Lift up halfway into chair. Let me drive through the legs to bring ourselves up. Take the little back bend. Hands into the heart. Exhale, drawing the belly in. Over the hips, a little softness in the knees as we come down, hands to the floor. Hands under the shins for the lift and lengthen the body. Fold down again. Sit into the squat. Take the hands out in front. Lift halfway. Breathe. Yourself to lift slowly. Open up into that back bend. Hands into the heart. Hinge at the hips. Down to the floor. Onto the shins. Shoulders are drawn back. Body is long. You fold over those hips. You sink back into the chair for the final time, taking the hands out. Keeping the bottom low, we lift halfway. Drive through the legs to lift ourselves up. Last little back. Hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. We'll walk the fingers towards the front of the mat again. Down dog. From the down dog, we'll take a breath. Come into a plank. Push forwards on the tippy toes for half plank. Bootlaces change. Take up dog. Breathe in. Roll it back to down dog. The scissor, the right leg high. Pull the knees in towards the chest. Bring the foot through to the front of the mat. Check your knees, open your ankle. The foot is parallel to the line of the mat. And hands alongside your body. Lift the chest a little, strong back leg. Lengthen the hands out as you take a breath in. Use your exhale, send your tailbone down to the floor, coming into high crescent. We'll take a breath, and then bring the hands down to the ground. We'll step back to our down dog. We'll float again into the plank. Come into the half plank. Elbows and ribs in. Ease the way through both hands evenly to the up dog. Roll it back into our down dog. This is with the left leg high. Draw the knee in towards the chest. Foot through to the front of the mat. That familiar lunge position. Hands alongside the body. And float them out. Hold. Use the exhale of your next breath to lift slowly up into your high crescent, pushing into the back leg a little. And then bring the hands down to the floor. And this time we take a breath and step into the forward bend to the front of the mat. Hands come onto the hips. Lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Fingertips are lifting, half forward folds, strong flat backs. Exhale down, deeper into the bend. As you breathe in, taking your right foot back into the lunge. Drop the heel in, ready for warrior two. Hands alongside the body as we lift. Take the right hand forwards. Let's hope I get that the right way. To warrior two. You take the hands high and then extend out slowly over the front thigh, using a long breath to bring the hands down. Step back into down dog and adjust. Come forwards into the plank. Push forwards for half plank. Inhale for the up dog. Strong legs. Roll over the toes or step over the feet, your choice. Down dog. Right leg scissors. Knee comes into the chest. Foot through to the front of the mat. Lunge, breath. Push off the toes. Forward bend. Hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift. Take the hands high. Run into the second side. Exhaling down. Fingertips for the lift. Fold it in. Left leg back into lunge. Drop the heel in. Hands alongside the body. Draw the left hand forwards and up. Use the exhale to float high. Inhale the hands high. Rotate and slow down. Lengthen out over the front leg. Press the back foot down. Ease it into the ground. Step it back into that down dog and adjust. Come forwards into the plank. Half plank. Inhale for up dog. Exhale down dog. Scissor the left leg into the chest. Bring the foot through. Take a breath. And step into the forward bend. Hands onto the hips. Lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart and down to the floor. Fingertips for the lift. Fold it in. Right foot back into lunge. Take a little breath. Drop the back knee down to the floor. Untuck the toes as you swing the hands alongside your body. We'll take the hands high on the breath in. Take it into a little bit of a back bend. Bring hands in towards your heart. Keep those elbows high. Inhale, rotating towards your left. Exhale. Bring the right arm over towards the left thigh. Allow yourself to slowly lift the back knee away from the floor as you tuck the toes underneath. Strong back leg. lift the chest, press into the hands. And then we bring hands to the floor. We drop the back heel in. Hands alongside the body. Ourselves to lift up. Warrior two. Hands high again. We slow down on the exhale to the front of the mat. Step it back to down dog. Come forwards into plank. Half plank. To up dog. To down dog. The shins of the right leg high. Lean towards the chest. Foot through to the front of the mat. Rest of the exhale into the forward bend. Hands onto the hips. We lift up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Fingertips for the lift. Fold it in. Left foot back into the lunge. Drop the back knee down and untap the toes. Sweep hands alongside the body. Lift. Again, take it a little into a back bend. Feel the chest lift. Get that front hip flexor to open. Hands in towards the heart. Take a breath. Rotate towards your right. Lean out and over. When you're ready, tuck the toe on the back foot. Lift. Get a little bit more height in the body as well. Bring the hands to the floor. Drop the back heel in. Hands alongside the body. Left arm lifts and we open up. Warrior two. Hands come high. Extend out slowly to the front of the mat. Step it back into that down dog. And forwards into the plank. Use the exhale to control. Inhale to lift high. Roll over the legs and the thighs and the toes. Down dog. Scissor that left leg high. Pull the knee in towards the chest. Bring the foot through. Strong lunge and push off the toes. Bring ourselves into the front of the mat. Hands to the hips. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Step back with the right and the left to down dog. Take a little breath. Scissor the right leg high. Float into a three-legged plank. Take a breath. Push forwards on the tippy toes. Elbows into the ribs. Bring the leg to the ground. Bootlaces down to lift into up dog. Roll it sensibly and slowly back into your down dog. Allow yourself to lift and scissor your left leg. Come forwards on the plank. Take a breath. Half plank. Keep the legs strong. Toes pointing out. Bootlaces to the ground. Take both feet to the floor as you lift into your up dog. Roll it back into your down dog. Now take a breath from here and bring the hands towards the back of the mat into a forward bend. Hands onto the hips, let ourselves lift up. Take the hands wide and high again, interlacing the hands. Index finger points up, side bend to the left as you exhale. Bring yourself back to the center, cross it to the right, to the center, the little back bend. center of that. Over to the left. Center. To the right. Through the back bend, press the feet down, get the thighs to feel like they're lifting. Back into the center. Final time over to the left. To the center. To the right. To the center. Last back bend standing. Back into the center. Hands into the heart. Whew. Take a little breath. Shake it all out. Walk into the front of the mat. Set hands high as we breathe in. Hands really hard and exhale down to the floor. And take a breath and step back with the right foot. And then purposely take the right and left hand forwards as far as you comfortably can. Ready for a warrior 3 lift. We'll take a breath and push off of the back leg. Allow ourselves to lift high. Square the hips. Now, if you're feeling stable enough and you want to take your hands away from the floor, you can do, but when you do that, you lift your body higher as well so that you're more into a T shape. If you're looking at the video at a later date, you'll notice that with the hands on the floor, you're not high enough really to get into that high position. But you could take the block, if you had it close by, and just place it underneath your hand. Allow yourself to lift. And then you get to practice being a little bit more upright. And then you can take the block, if you've got a strong one. If they're a bit one of those bendy ones, it doesn't work so well. But if you can take the block into a higher position, you get to understand how it feels to be higher in the position, in this pose. And it actually feels a little bit easier. Even though you're further away from the floor, and that in itself is a little bit scary. I'll take a breath and soften the front knee and place the back foot to the floor, drop the heel in, bring the hands alongside the body. Float the right arm forwards and lift up into warrior 2. We'll take the rear hand behind for reverse warriors. We turn the palm and open up towards the back of the mat. Strong back leg pressing down. Come forwards again. Take the hands high. Down to the floor we go. Spin the heel on the back foot and step gently back into the forward bend. Hold in deep. We'll take the left foot back. Take the hands forwards again. Take a little breath. Push off the toes. Let ourselves lift. You decide whether you want to stay on the fingertips or lift a little bit higher. Your choice. Always try and square the hips, so be conscious of the feeling of the hip bones. You want to be pressing down in the floor enough that you're not actually sinking into the hip joint. The muscles are holding you up. You want to be a little bit conscious of not bending into the back knee and pushing it back. You want to press down and you'll feel the hips kind of liven up a little bit more. The abdominal muscles are switched on to help keep the body level. Last breath in, soften the front knee. Take the foot back into the lunge. Drop the heels alongside. Hands to the side of the body. Left arm comes up and we float up into our warrior 2. Again, we come into reverse warrior. Come forwards again. Warrior 2, lift the hands high. Rotate and lengthen out to the front of the mat. This time though, we take a step back to down dog. We'll come into plank and let the knees come gently to the floor. We'll work our way down to the ground. So spin the feet out. Woo. Move the block out of the front of the mat. We need a little bit of space behind because when we're down on the floor, we're going to have the hands out behind us. And obviously a little bit of room at the front as well. So coming down safely, knees high, feet in, hands behind, chin in towards chest. Roll the spine gently down to the floor until your head reaches the ground. Allow yourself to have a little wriggle out through the shoulders and the hips. And then we're going to start to draw the tummy muscles down to the spine and draw the lower back into the floor. And we'll bring the knees up above the hips. And then we'll reaffirm drawing down to keep this body connected as flat to the floor as we can. Taking the hands directly above the chest, palms facing in. Relax the shoulders down into the floor as well, rather than lifting them up. And then we can extend the toes up towards the sky, hopefully above the hips. Strong legs, pointy toes. You can spread the toes or point, your choice. You can alternate legs and arms. So we'll take right arm, left leg, almost down to the floor, and then bring them back up on the exhale. You want to be slow. We'll take down. Use that slow breath to come back up. And try to minimize the disruption to the lower back and the connection with the ground and that flat back. So if we go too fast, well, often what happens is the ribs arch towards the sky and you start to flex your spine and it gets a little bit unsafe. Not only can you pull muscles, but you might squash and pull a little bit on the discs as well, on the nerves. It can all get a little bit uncomfortable. So we work very slow, very deliberately. I find closing my eyes helps. And trying to feel where my legs and arms are, rather than worrying too much about where they actually are. Hopefully the feeling and actual are very similar, but they don't necessarily have to be. Just got a little bit longer to play with. Last couple of repetitions. We'll come up for the final time and draw the knees in towards the chest. Now we can bring the arms around the shins and tuck the chin towards the chest and around the spine. And if it feels good, you can kind of rock a little bit from side to side. Massage those muscles. And the spine together. And then let the feet come down to the ground again. The second time round, we'll bring the hands very close into the body. So you're going to lift a little bit, just so you can tuck your hands in that little bit extra closer underneath your body and your arms. But you're not actually sitting on the hands, palms are flat to the floor. Again, we're going to draw shoulders, lower back into the ground, abdominals. Lift onto the tippy toes, walk the feet in, bring the knees above the hips. Realign that spine again, really pull it down strong. And then lift the legs 90 degrees above the hips. This time we're just going to take the right leg down, almost to touch the ground. Give it a little kiss, but not a stop. Bring it back up, across to the opposite side. Bring it back up. Very conscious about keeping your tailbone on the ground, the lower back into the floor, the legs as straight as you can. So you can feel the muscles and the kneecaps working. Almost there. We bend the knees and bring arms around the shins again, chin in towards the chest. Take another little hug. And then we're going to see if we can come back into the same position. So again, we kind of lift that. It's a little bit of a roll to tuck the arms as close into the body, and hands very much sort of aligned. My thumbs are almost underneath my bottom. So take a breath, get a nice long neck, come up onto the tippy toes, draw the belly down, squeeze the thighs together, allow myself to bring the knees over the hips and then lift the toes up. And take a little breath and try and lift the tailbone away from the floor just a little bit. So it's a contraction of the abdominal muscles to get the tailbone to lift up and the toes towards the sky, that extra inch. But I'm also going to press down with everything I've got through my arms. It's an exhale to lift up, just in case you've been going the other way. We barely move. Bring it along, and a tendency for it to shift to the back of the mat a little bit. So to use your arms and press down. And we're going to take a last lift. And bring the knees back in. And this time we'll take the hands on top of the knees and the feet together, and the knees widen out. And we'll make some nice big circles into those hips. And we'll take it in the opposite direction as well. Let the feet come back down to the floor. You can take the hands out wide like a crucifix with the feet close in towards the bottom. And shimmy the hips over towards the left and let the legs roll down towards the right side. Try and relax the bottom leg down a little bit. Let's see if I can press the top leg down, just a fraction. So try and relax one leg and activate the other. So we get that inner thigh, inner groin on the top leg and the outer hip on that top leg. Last breath. Ooh, bring it back up. And then bring ourselves into the center. Take the legs over to the opposite side. Ease yourself in first, see where you end up. Work on relaxing that bottom leg while the shoulders are flat to the floor. And start to activate the top leg and press that down, whilst trying to keep some sort of release in the bottom leg. And that's not easy to do. So if you find it, you are really struggling with that, getting that connection to do everything as I've asked, then know that it's a difficult thing, and practice makes it more accessible. So if this is struggling and it's the first time you've tried it, that's not that unusual. And lift again to the center. Draw the knees in towards the body. Wrap the arms around the shins. Chin towards the chest for a little hug. And then roll gently onto the right side. Use the hands to press down to lift up. As we come up to sitting, we'll start to use the block eventually. We'll take that behind us and allow ourselves to just lengthen the legs out in front. Have a little wriggle. Sitting up tall, we'll bring the right heel into the groin, knee out to the side. Now you're going to flex that foot so the toes point forwards and try and have this knee on the ground. Allow yourself to just bring your hips so the sitting bones feel they're squared to the front of the mat. And if you're like me and your leg tends to roll out a little bit, turn the thigh inwards so that the toes point towards the sky. Or if you happen to roll the opposite way, you do the counter. A little bend in the knee, take a breath. Now we're going to come to about 45 degrees, and we don't need to come any further than that. You're going to take your hands forwards. Now my hands are easily to my feet because I've got a long body and long arms, but if you are proportioned differently, you might find holding onto your shin, ankle, the way to go. I'm going to pull the hands back gently so that it feels like my shoulders are pulling towards the back of the mat. I'm going to lift my chest up forwards and start to press out through the heel and draw the hip back on this long leg. I'm still pressing the shin of the bent knee into the floor. I'm still pressing the heel into the groin. The foot is still flexed. The belly's drawn in. I'm actually lifting the body up a little bit. And then I'm going to release. As easy as that. I'm going to take it to the opposite side. So legs start off down the center line of the mat. Left heel comes into the groin, the foot stays flexed, knee out to the side, and square the hips and roll the thigh in. I put my deliberate little bend in the knee, and bring the hands onto the shin. Take a breath and get some space in the spine. Hinge forwards halfway. Draw in the belly in. Get hands out on top of the foot, shin, ankle, wherever it's easy. Draw the hands back and start to lift the chest up. So I'm trying to relax the shoulders down away from the ears. I'm not pushing them down, but I'm trying to sort of bring them into more of a natural, neutral position. I'm going to start to press the heel of the long leg away and draw the hip bone back on the same side. Still pressing into the bent knee. Feel into the groin. So there's a lot of power going through the pose. You don't have to be super deep to feel every muscle in your body working. And then I can release from there as well. As easy as that. I come back down to the floor. And I'm going to take the block out to the side, ready for a little bit later. I'm going to come into a bridge. I'm going to take a little bit of a flow there. So I'm going to deliberately take the feet hip distance apart whilst I can see them and muzzle my bottom into my heels with hands behind. Chin in towards the chest, roll the spine down to the floor, and allow my head to gently come to the ground. Hands alongside the body, not quite as tucked in as they were in some of the other poses we've done this morning, but they are still very close to the body. We'll take a little breath, press the shoulders into the floor, draw the belly down into the ground. Allow myself to tuck the tailbone slowly away from the floor as I begin to exhale the hips towards the sky. Now I'm just going to bring the hips up to more or less an imaginary line between my my knees, hips, and shoulders. The kind of line going out an angle I just want to follow. And then on an inhale, I'm going to take hands high to the sky above the chest. And on the exhale, let the hands drop to the floor behind. Now you want to try and have the forearms and the wrists on the ground. And then in the exhale, you're going to let the spine roll down to the floor, trying to keep hands on the ground behind you. You might find some sticky places in the middle or your back as you do that. You'll take a breath in and lift the hands back up towards the sky once you've landed. And use the exhale to bring the hands back down to the floor beside you. Realign your body as necessary, so get it to a comfortable, familiar feeling. And then on the exhale, press the shoulders down, belly in, lift the tailbone. We'll come a little higher this time and press the knees towards the front of the mat.
So we feel the thighs working a little more. We'll bring the hands up towards the sky as we breathe in. And use the exhale to take the hands and float them down to the ground behind. Take a breath in position. And then roll the spine down again, gently and slowly, one vertebrae at a time. It may take you more than one breath. Moving very slowly through any sticky places where the muscles are binding up and holding on. When you're ready, inhale your hands high inside your body. We'll take one more of those. You'll press down through the shoulders, belly, hips lift, the lift high. Press the knees forwards, keeping the thighs parallel. Start to roll your shoulder blades underneath a little bit more as you lift from the ground a fraction. Bring hands underneath and interlace your fingers. See if you can press your arms into the floor. Allow your chest to move towards your chin as you come up into your highest version of bridge pose. Keep pressing the hips up, letting them lift up. Draw the knees towards the front of the mat. Chest towards your chin. Make as much space as you can in your spine. And just try and keep the knees above the heels rather than letting them flare out to the side. When I press down, I feel the inner thighs and outer thighs and the buttocks working together. Last breath, and we start to release the hands. Allow the spine to ease down to the floor, one bone at a time. Cool. Just wiggle the toes into the center line, so they should be close into your body, and if not, bring them in a little closer. Allow yourself to bring your right knee in towards your body and take your hands around the shin. And then use the toes of your left foot to slide your heel gradually out towards the front of the mat. And you're still going to draw the belly down as you let your right knee move towards your right armpit a little bit. And then we're going to lift the left leg half an inch or an inch off of the ground. And hold and breathe. We're going to press the shoulders, and we're going to press the middle back or lower back into the floor. And keep that lifted leg very strong, the toes pointing towards the sky again. A little bit of internal rotation if you think you roll it out. It's good for your hip socket. And we'll let the foot come to the floor gradually. Slide that left heel back in and release the right foot. So back to high knees, close in towards the body. A little wriggle to adjust. And then take the left knee in towards the body. Hands around the shin, guide it towards the armpit. Use your toes to start to walk your foot out on the right side and slide your heel out. Strong leg flexed. Shoulders and belly down to the floor. We lift the foot just half an inch off the ground. And remember, half an inch is quite a small amount of distance to move. You're not too sure how half an inch looks. Well, think of a Cadbury's cream egg roll on its side, and that would do. It's not an inch or half an inch, but it's pretty low. And that's the kind of distance we want. And take a little breath from there and let the leg down. Slide the heels back in. Now I'm going to try and walk the feet close into the body. Now I'm going to take the block and just place that behind the back of the head. So it's not pressing into the neck or the shoulders. I'm going to let the hands come out to the side about 45 degrees. And then slowly turn the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to come down towards the ground. So I'm into Supta Baddha Konasana, supine cobbler's pose. I'm going to lift the tailbone off the floor and just lengthen that away a fraction. And then I start to really let those legs drop down towards the ground. Allow yourself to close your eyes, lick your lips, and start to prepare your body for Shavasana. We're not quite there yet. We've got a minute or so in this pose altogether. We are trying to let those groins release. And also at the same time, keeping the spine very long and flat. Often when this pose is brought into the body, if it's not warmed up, you will see the chest and the ribs lift up towards the sky. So hopefully we're warmed up enough that we can focus on keeping the body nice and long and relaxed into the ground. Use the hands underneath the back of the thighs, just press them together again on the exhale. And then lengthen the legs out slowly, just sliding the heels along the ground towards the corner edges of the mat. You can keep the block under the head if you feel comfortable with that, or remove it if you need to. Letting the legs roll out, the body sink into the mat. Eyes are closed, jaw is soft. Enjoying some easy, long, slow breaths and letting the heat kind of flow out of the body, feeling the energy of our blood moving around. And feel very connected physically to our body. And we'll slowly start to stretch the fingers and toes. Breathe a little deeper. Allow the wrists of the ankles to move, just to connect your nervous system back up. Mind, your body, and your breath working together. Inhale and use that to stretch out in any way that you feel good. Slide the heels along the floor again, which is quite an important thing to do. We want to keep the spine and the nervous system as relaxed as possible. So we ease the knees in towards the body gently. Give ourselves a final little hug and rock on the spine. And then when you're ready in your own time, allow yourself to roll onto your right side. Breath on the floor, lean into the ground, and then press away with the hands. You can smoothly move back up into a seated posture. Sitting tall, and hands coming towards your heart. Take a breath in. Use a slow exhalation, letting the chin drop, finding the belly drawn to the spine. A simple bow form. Really a practice. As the breath comes back in, spine builds, head lifts, eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you on the mat again soon.